Do, 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 do. Hello, hello, hello. Jordan Sheridan, live from Buffalo, New York. Let me know if you could hear me. Let me know if you could see me. I think my head is a little cut off, Colin. If you could tilt the camera up. Uh, apologies. Apologies. This is the best we could really do, camera angle. We're in the hotel in Buffalo. We've been on the ground reporting on India Walton's election for mayor, which is on Tuesday. We've also been covering the Starbucks union drive. We interviewed Starbucks workers yesterday. We're also going to be covering the Mercy Hospital strike, which is 2,000 workers that are striking here in Buffalo. So there's a whole lot going on in Buffalo. But tell you the truth, every time I'm on the road, trying to cover things, there's major breaking news that has nothing to do with the current reporting trip that we always want to address. So let me wait for more people to trickle in. Please smash that like button, thumbs up. You all know what's been going on with YouTube. The numbers have been horrible, horrible. The suppression has been horrible. So I really need your help. I'm going to go ballistic in this live stream. We're going to be live here, hopefully for about an hour. And then we're going to go to cover another India Walton event. So we're doing a whole lot. Colin was good enough to fill in for me earlier covering an India Walton march to the polls because I was being interviewed, which I'm really happy about and really excited about. Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball were nice enough to interview me earlier for their podcast, Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. So that was recorded earlier. I believe it will be out this weekend, their podcast with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you to Kyle and Crystal for having me on to talk about our reporting. It's really, really appreciated to get the word out about our reporting since we're basically being hidden. So please, please, please smash the like button. I do want to give an update. Um, before we get into this horrible deal that, frankly, I think progressives will ultimately cave. I was in Buffalo for 2 days. Didn't have my suitcase. Okay. We started in Iowa and Illinois covering the John Deere strikes. Our flight got canceled from Iowa to we were supposed to go from Iowa to Chicago and then Chicago to Buffalo. The flight from Chicago to Buffalo got canceled, so we had to stay over a night in Chicago. And then the next day, I get to Buffalo, my suitcase is gone. Then the next day, I still don't have my suitcase. I literally went to the airport because I couldn't get a human being on the phone. I am bounced between United Airlines and American Airlines, back to United Airlines. Don't ask why. I literally, Colin, what was I in the airport for an hour as you were driving around, trying to find out where the hell my bag is, only to realize that the hotel had the bag all along, yet told me they didn't have it. So let's just say it's been a little tricky. But I finally have my suitcase. We're here through the election. We're going to play some of the reporting because you might have not seen my interview with India Walton or my live stream with the Starbucks workers or other reporting we've done. So we're going to play it. But before I get to this story, I need to ask you, and I'm not beyond begging, we need your help. We're being hidden on YouTube. When it's all said and done, we're going to be on the road for 2 weeks. It's expensive, and frankly, we're being highly suppressed. So if you have any ability to support us, statuscoup.com/donate, statuscoup.com/donate, donate any amount. Big donations really help. Small donations too. And we'll also push membership. So, progressives, let's just start from the beginning. I credited Bernie Sanders. I credited the squad a couple weeks ago because for once they seem to be organizing and voting as a block to block the $1.2 trillion reconciliation deal, which is terrible. The $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal, which sounds fancy and sounds good, but it's really just a privatization scheme. The infrastructure deal, it's not public government infrastructure jobs, it's all privatization. So they said, no, we're not going to vote for that. unless we get the 3.5 trillion reconciliation deal. And I said, good. It's about damn time they're using their power and their leverage. At that time, if you recall, and we haven't had time to like go back and cut these clips, I said it is still likely they will cave. I said I would not take anything less than $3 trillion. I didn't think they were going to get 3.5 trillion, but I said I personally would not take anything less than 3 trillion. And Ro Khanna actually asked me that when I interviewed him, and I said I wouldn't take anything less than 3 trillion. You've already negotiated down from 6 trillion. The planet is on fire. Okay, we can't put band-aid approaches to climate in addition to other policies. So Jayapal, AOC, the squad, Bernie. Where in the world is Jordan? We're in Buffalo, New York. I'm in the hotel. After this live stream, we're going to be going to cover another India Walton event. If you don't know, India Walton is the Democratic nominee for mayor in Buffalo. She is a socialist. She defeated the current mayor of Buffalo, Byron Brown, in the primary. And instead of going quietly into the night, Byron Brown is running a write-in campaign. He's corrupt. He has sold Buffalo, like many other cities, to the real estate developers, allowing it to be gentrified, pushing out the poor. The same old story everywhere in America is happening right here in Buffalo. So Byron Brown, the current mayor, is running a write-in campaign. The election's on Tuesday, so we are here to cover that. Yeah, it's a local election, but I do think it has larger implications for the progressive movement. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But, and please, statuscoup.com/donate. Colin, if you see donations come in, let me know and I'll shout them out. So I gave them credit at the time, but I said, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Still very likely they will cave. I put question mark in the headline, progressives to cave on pathetic $1.75 trillion deal, question mark, only because they haven't officially caved. But I'm sorry to tell you, sounds like they are going to cave. I'm going to read to you what is in this shell of a deal. And then I'm going to get into why it's such a fucking disaster, not only for the progressives, for the Democrats too. What created Trump, what allowed somebody like Trump to get elected in the first place is this kind of empty legislation, is this kind of neoliberal corporations writing legislation, is making promises that you moonwalk away from, is negotiating against yourself, talking about the Democrats. This is what creates opening for phony populists. When you don't deliver on any of your promises. Biden, $15 minimum wage, walked away from it. Biden, public option, walked away from it. Biden, $2,000 checks. Oh, well, $1,400 checks. Biden, police reform, walked away from it. I mean, the list goes on and on. And in this bill, 3.5 trillion, we were supposed to have expanding Medicare, dental, vision, hearing, supposed to have vibrant, robust climate proposals, paid family leave. We're the only country that I know, a wealthy country, doesn't have paid family leave if you get sick, maternity leave, not paid in America, wealthiest country on earth. Supposed to have free community college, supposed to have a lot more money for affordable housing to kind of stop the bleeding of gentrification, which is making people homeless in this country. It's supposed to have a whole lot of things. Let's go down the list of what it does have. And since we're on the road, we couldn't make fancy graphics. Thank you for the super chat, Green Sun. Let's go down the list of what it does have and smash the like button, thumbs up button right under the video. Please share this live stream. I'm telling you, folks, we've been doing this for 3 years. It has never, ever been this suppressed. We have never, ever been this hidden. I mean, Colin went live before from an India Walton rally. We barely cracked 70 live viewers. I bet the 200 people watching right now didn't even see it in their feed. This is what we're dealing with. So please, please help us. Smash that like button. Share this live stream. StatusCoup.com/donate. Please, we need big donations, small donations, and everything in between. Let me read what's in this amazing deal, or whatever Pelosi called it, transformational deal. Okay? So, here we go. Fighting climate change. Combating climate change and slowing the rate at which Earth warms will mean transitioning away from fossil fuels, the major source of greenhouse gases. The new framework unveiled by the White House contains $555 billion for climate and clean energy investments. As written, the plan would cut more than a gigaton of greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, roughly 50% reduction compared to 2005 levels, according to the White House. The legislation would provide tax credits to Americans buying new electric vehicles that could provide up to $12,500 in incentives to some families to drop gas guzzling vehicles. New tax incentives designed to encourage the installation of solar panels on American homes will also be offered. Manchin objected to a $150 billion clean electricity performance program contained in the original proposal, which would pay utility companies that increase their renewable energy supplies by 4% per year and fine companies that don't hit that benchmark. So let's be clear. We went from paying utility companies money, that's all they care about, even if they're destroying planet Earth, paying utility companies to hit certain benchmarks to increase their renewable energies by 4% and fining them if they don't meet those benchmarks. So actual teeth. But President Manchin, a corrupt, let me repeat, a corrupt politician that Biden could have used the bully pulpit against. Biden is the president of the United States. He could have went to West Virginia. He could have done interviews. He could have gone scorched earth. You want to talk about scorched earth? Because there are progressives who say Nina Turner's not going scorched earth enough in her local election. India Walton's not going scorched earth enough in her local election. We could get into that later. Biden is the president. He could go scorched earth against Manchin and Sinema, shaming them, threatening them privately and publicly. Frankly, others have mentioned this. Behind closed doors, Biden could have said to Joe Manchin, hey, your daughter, who illegally jacked up prices of EpiPens as the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, she's got off pretty scot-free. I could have my Attorney General, Merrick Garland, look into that, Joe. It's up to you. Lyndon B. Johnson would have done that for all his terribleness on Vietnam. He knew how to break knees. Joe Biden wouldn't do it. Why? Because he has the same donors as Joe Manchin. He's not going to ruffle his donors' feathers. Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, they don't want to ruffle the feathers of their donors heading into the midterms because all they care about is fundraising to win the midterms. So if they could keep power and continually sell you out with that power. Let me tell you something, folks. I don't pretend to be a climate expert, but what I do know is whether I travel for personal pleasure or on the road, this world is on fire. We don't have any more time. $555 billion with Pelosi and Biden, and I'm assuming Jayapal will sell. That is like putting gauze, if you're bleeding, it's like putting gauze on a gunshot wound to the forehead. Okay? That is completely insufficient. It's not only the dollar amount that is insufficient. Okay? It is the actual particulars of the climate plan. Tax incentives, this is all neoliberal garbage. Okay, you're going to give tax incentives of $12,500 to get an electric vehicle. Okay, Colin, $12,500 electrical vehicle, right? You're getting a tax incentive for of $12,500 to get an electrical vehicle. Well, what if that electrical vehicle costs $35,000? Still kind of expensive for a working class person to afford that vehicle, correct?
Yeah, and that's assuming you can find one that's an electric vehicle that's $35,000.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you heard Colin. He said that's assuming if you could find an electrical vehicle for $35,000. So very expensive vehicles, electric vehicles, which are more expensive, you're going to get a tax incentive of $12,500. That still makes it out of reach for many, many working class people. Keep smashing that like button. 230 people. Okay. The actual teeth of the plan, which President Manchin, again, Biden could have went scorched on earth in him. And let's call out Bernie and his squad. I've been saying this for months. And I said this to Ro Khanna. And he told me, well, I don't think it would make a difference. Bernie could have went to West Virginia and shamed this motherfucker. Excuse my French. The squad could have went to West Virginia and shamed this motherfucker. Sure, you could say, Jordan, whatever, he's corrupt. What do he care? He's a human being. Trust me, he cares. When you get shamed and shit on, massive rallies, digital organizing, radio ads against this person in his district, and all of a sudden his poll numbers start shifting. And all of a sudden you have protests at his district office in West Virginia. By the way, all of this same goes for Kirsten Sinema in Arizona. What do you have to lose? What is this inside baseball negotiating with Manchin, who, again, I have said this to, not to, I don't, I've never talked to him directly. I've said this about Bernie and the squad. You're not dealing with people that believe what you believe. These aren't just some disagreements because like Bernie's from Vermont and Manchin's from West Virginia. You're dealing with immoral, corrupt people. Let me repeat, immoral, corrupt people. So the way to get them to bend, maybe you wouldn't get 3.5 trillion, but the way to get them to bend is to go head on and fight them. Peter 99.99 in the super chat. Keep up the amazing work. The only thing I ask to Peter and others, we love you. If you are going to donate, please donate statuscoup.com/donate because YouTube takes 30% of your donation, your super chat. So, hey, whatever works for you. Super chats are fine if that's what you want to do. But please, to help fund this on the ground reporting, which, as far as I could tell, I didn't see any independent outlets in Iowa and Illinois. We were there covering the John Deere strikes last week. All of that is up on our channel. You might have not seen it because YouTube is fucking hiding us. Okay? You might have not seen that I interviewed India Walton the other day. You might have not seen that I interviewed Starbucks workers yesterday live who are trying to unionize. You're probably not going to see this weekend when I go to Mercy Hospital to cover 2,000 workers striking. So thank you for the donation, the super chat, really helpful. This trip is probably going to cost us, because we're going to be, by the end of it, we'll be on the road for 2 weeks, probably going to cost us anywhere between $6,000 and $7,000. So any donations help. So this, they're going to make it seem that this is transformational. Again, it is gauze. It is a half a Band-Aid to a gaping gunshot head in the forehead. And you can't just look at the numbers because the media is going to sell you on this is the most investment in the climate change ever, 555 billion. Well, what are the particulars? They're not fining the utilities companies like the original plan was going to do. They're not giving the utility companies, paying the utility companies to reduce or increase their use of renewables. They were going to pay 4% to utility companies to increase their renewables and fine them if they don't. That is not incentives. That is, here's money, and we're going to fine you if you don't do this. It has teeth. They got rid of that. David Sirota tweeted, let me get this tweet. Sorry, I can't show you, but we're kind of limited since we're, coming live from the hotel. But David Sirota had tweeted, let me find it. Oh, so Democrats include a, quote, methane reduction program, aka a compromise methane fee in updated reconciliation bill. It provides $775 million in grants, rebates, loans to help oil and gas operators, to reduce methane emissions. Those that waste a certain threshold of methane are charged. So let me get something. Let me get this straight. You are providing free cash to the people that are burning down the home. You're providing free money, subsidies to the climate arsonists. That's the climate plan, a methane reduction program. Or as David Sirota tweeted, Democrats turned their original methane fee proposal into a subsidy for the fossil fuel industry. And you wonder why we get people like Trump. And you wonder why we're probably going to have a Republican wave in 2022 where Republicans take the House and the Senate. You wonder why in 2024 when it's fucking Pete Buttigieg, because I don't know if you see what I see, Biden doesn't look like he's making it there. Maybe he'll live, but I don't know if he's going to run again. Kamala Harris doesn't look ready for corrupt prime time, Kamala Harris. So I don't know, Pete Buttigieg versus Ron DeSantis. Who do you think is going to win? I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic. And what is more pathetic about all this is Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, that they are acting like they are going to try and frame this as, well, we knew we weren't going to get the 3.5 trillion, but look at what's in it. Well, we're going to keep going at what's in it. But it could have been a lot more if you would have done more, if you would have fought, if you would have called their bluff. I think David Sirota made this point and said, here are our specific red lines weeks ago, months ago. If Bernie would have said, I'm out, I have a red line, it's expanding Medicare. If that's not in it, I'm not even going to meet with Joe Manchin. Sorry, Mr. President, I'm not even going to meet with you. These are our red lines. We have already compromised on a $15 minimum wage. Biden moved away from that. We have already compromised on a public option. We have already compromised on 2,000 checks. Police reform. The list goes on and on and on. At a certain point, it's not compromise. It's fucking folding like a cheap tent. I have avoided, folks. I have avoided. And a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people have criticized me. A lot of people have unsubscribed. I have avoided calling them fraud squad and sellouts and all this because whatever. That's not how I talk. That's not how I feel. But I will call them pathetic. I will call this weak. And Ro Khanna, who I interviewed, I appreciate him coming on. Like this notion that no, it's not going to do anything to go to West Virginia and publicly shame this corrupt person. No, it's not going to do anything to actually call him corrupt. No, that's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything to point out the fact, The Intercept came out with a great story, the fact that this man, as a senator, is making millions of dollars off of a coal company that he owns and that his son runs. No, we don't need to point that out. In interviews on CNN and MSNBC, in interviews with the New York Times, we don't need to mention that Manchin owns a coal company that he has made $4.5 billion from as a senator over the last decade. Imagine that. Not only is Manchin a senator, and he is the man, he is the Manchin living in his fucking mansion, stopping actual climate proposals with teeth, stopping expanding Medicare. There's a lot of people in West Virginia who don't have teeth. You know how I know? I've met them because I've reported there, because they don't have dental through Medicare. Instead of calling it what it is, he's corrupt. Instead of telling the media, hey, why challenging the media, why aren't you mentioning that he has a gross conflict of interest? Not only, by the way, this is the sickest part. And keep smashing the like button, share this live stream. Not only does he have a gross conflict of interest as a senator who owns a coal company, he is literally the chairman of the Senate Energy Committee. So the literal chairman, who I guess is in charge of regulations and writing laws on energy and climate and fossil fuels, is literally owns a coal company. That would be unheard of in other countries. There's laws against that. Not in this country, because we live in the United Corporations of America, folks. We live in the United Corporations of America. And I'm going to read more of what's in the bill. What's out of the bill? No dental, no vision as part of Medicare. Hearing. So if you're 65 or older, congrats. You could get a hearing aid. Good luck to you on your teeth. Good luck to you if you can't see, if you got glaucoma, if you got root canals, if your teeth are rotting, good luck to you. But we'll give you a hearing aid. America. By the way, they just increased the defense budget by another $10 billion. And none of the media, and by the way, none of the progressives that have been interviewed have said, wait a minute, this is $350 billion a year. This is $350 billion a year getting us to 3.5 trillion. We're spending nearly $1 trillion on the defense budget a year. So $350 billion on policies that are actually going to save the planet, on policies that will help seniors, on policies that will help parents, childcare, paid family leave for women who need maternity leave, for people who get sick.
Huh? We just got a vacation from Peter for $1,000.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Peter! Peter, thank you, thank you, thank you. Peter Iannone just donated $1,000. Honestly, Peter, I got to tell you, I had a conversation with Jen, and we're going to go back to the ranting, but I had a conversation with Jen yesterday. And I said to her, I got to be honest, I'm more anxious than I usually am because I'm starting to doubt survival of Status Coup. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do this reporting. And if we're being basically buried in YouTube's algorithm to the point that people can't see it, how am I going to pay Colin? How am I going to pay Jen? How can I pay myself? How can we afford flights and hotels and rent a car and food? We've had to go to Best Buy twice for equipment while we're on the road. And Jen is usually more optimistic than me, but I've said, like, I don't see it because we're being hidden. So if we can't even reach new eyeballs, if we can't reach new eyeballs, or if we can't even reach our existing eyeballs, that is our current subscribers, how does this go on in the long term? And I said to Jen, or Jen said to me, well, at some point during these trips, usually we get one or two viewers that bail us out with a really, or at least help us break even with a really generous donation. Thank you so much, Peter. I can't thank you enough. I'll reach out to you privately too. Thank you for that amazing donation, Peter. And keep them coming. We need more. StatusCoup.com/donate. StatusCoup.com/donate. But at a certain point, no, the climate money in this and the particulars of the climate totally inadequate. Okay, drought, fires, unprecedented storms, $3 billion to Israel. You got it. Unprecedented climate emergency, which we don't have any more time. $555 billion, basically in neoliberal tax incentives and fossil fuel subsidies. That's your fucking goal. That's your idea. And some idiot on Twitter said to me, well, Jordan, this is a good down payment for the future. And I said to him, what future are you talking about? How much more time do you think this planet has for emergency action? Frankly, AOC was right. We really need $10 trillion just to have a chance in terms of the climate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And by the way, Bernie Sanders. I've defended Bernie Sanders. Jimmy, others have said he's a fraud, he's a sellout, he's a coward. I don't agree with that. But this is a legacy moment. This is a legacy moment. I give Bernie a lot of credit for reinvigorating the progressive movement. Honestly, there was no real organized progressive movement in this country before 2016. There was a real kind of hibernation between Occupy Wall Street in 2011 and Bernie in 2016. He deserves a lot of credit for just showing up, 2 campaigns, going across the country, moving thought to Medicare for all and other things. But I said during 2016 and I said in 2020, he was weak as a candidate. He would never go for the jugular when he had the chance. He would never call them corrupt. And there were clear moments in debates and elsewhere where he decided, I'd rather not call the emperor what they are. The emperor has no cloth. Call Biden his friend, right? He made a lot of mistakes. This is a legacy moment. Don't be fooled, Bernie Sanders, into thinking, well, it's, let's take something, it's better than nothing. Well, if we do nothing, it's going to help the progressive, the Republicans even more get elected. There's no Trump anymore on the ballot. Trump's not on the ballot this year. Trump's not on the ballot in 2022. We cannot continue as progressives to cave and fold to this mental gymnastics and this dynamic of, well, let's take what we can get now. Let's take what we can get now and live to fight another day. There's always going to be live to fight another day. But the problem is we have a corrupt country and we elected you to fight against that corruption. And many of you said, running, you are going to fight against that corruption. AOC, bring the ruckus to the Democratic Party. In fairness, it's a lot easier said than done for YouTube hosts and tweeters we're not there. But what I do know is the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So why do you think just accepting this deal with no paid family medical leave, no free community college, no dental, no vision, insufficient climate proposals. The climate proposals give subsidies to fossil fuel companies. I'll list the decent things in this. Universal pre-K funded for 6 years. So we'll see what happens after 6 years. Couple, I mean, programs to cap childcare costs at 7%. That's good. I'm not saying it's bad. Universal pre-K will help people. Capping childcare expenses, 7%. It's good. Hearing, good. Extending the child tax credit for a year, decent. But what is your message? What's your message? Hey, seniors, fuck you on your teeth and vision. Good luck to you. But we'll give you hearing aids. What's your message? Hey, we're going to cut childhood poverty in half for another 1 year. Plan for the next year, poor single mothers. Plan for the year after that, poor citizens of America. We'll cut childhood poverty in half, which I think is a bullshit thing anyway, for another year. After that, when it expires, back to living paycheck to paycheck, back to rationing insulin, back to working a full-time job and driving Uber, back to living in economic fear because you can't put food on the table and you have to choose between medicine or groceries. And a year extension of the child tax credit? I mean, it's a joke. $150 billion towards affordable housing. Hey, if you are a Status Coup viewer, you've been around the country with me. You've seen the economic terrorism that is gentrification. $150 billion towards affordable housing? That would, they say, provide 1 million new affordable housing units. Well, I got news for you folks. A, I'd like to see the fine print of that because I promised you somehow those affordable housing units, somehow real estate developers are going to be involved with those affordable housing units. Secondly, we need 1 million units of affordable housing. Do you live in Cleveland? Do you live in Flint? Do you live in Detroit? Do you live in Pittsburgh? Do you live in Gary, Indiana? You live in Buffalo, Philadelphia, Chicago, Washington, D.C., LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. I could go on. I mean, in many of these places, you need hundreds of thousands of affordable housing units. $150 billion towards affordable housing? But Jordan, take something, something's better than nothing. No, right now I'd say nothing is better because we have to change the paradigm. Galvanize the troops to say, no, we ran on building back better. This is building back bullshit. This is building back bullshit. It's not good enough, folks. It's not good enough. And keep those super chats coming. I'll read them at the end. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Double K. This is not good enough. And I got to tell you something. Again, I have avoided slogans. I've avoided fraud squad. I've avoided sellouts, whatever. If that's what you think, that's what you think. You don't, you can love or hate whatever politicians you want. I don't really care. My whole criticism is, okay, what are we doing beyond just criticizing Bernie and the squad? Is there an organizing plan on the left? That has been my criticism. I don't care if you like Bernie, the squad, criticize whoever you want. But at this point, I have a real hard time defending if they accept this deal. I really do. I have a hard time benefit of the doubt. I have a hard time, look at the good part of it. Because at a certain point, when you live in a corrupt country, when you live in a system of legalized bribery, when you live in a system where you have politicians that are not moderate, they are immoral. They are evil. Let's call it what it is. Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, when you consciously are making decisions to deprive the people you represent of basic human rights, seniors of basic human rights, when you are consciously making decisions as you see a planetary inferno around you, to just let it continue because, hey, I'll probably live through it. You can't negotiate with those people. You can't negotiate with that. That's negotiating with terrorists. I call them political terrorists. You have to fight them head on. This whole notion, oh, we're a big tent. This is a big family. Well, let me tell you something. If people in my family were trying to starve out like me and my community, I'd probably have to reevaluate my family. And to be fair, still time for them to vote this down, but I'm not optimistic. Pramila Jayapal was speaking earlier that in looking at the framework, we could go along with this. I'll tell you what else is in this crappy deal. By the way, again, if you're coming to this late, we're in Buffalo. We're going to be covering India. We've been covering India Walton's election, which is on Tuesday. She is the Democratic nominee here in Buffalo for mayor. She is a socialist. She defeated the corrupt Democratic mayor here. And what did she get for it? Instead of going quietly into the night as a lobbyist, which is like what Joe Crowley did when he lost the AOC, just leaving, go do your job as a lobbyist. That, being corrupt politician, you get to become a lobbyist after. Instead, he's running as a write-in candidate. And the entire Democratic machine is trying to defeat India Walton. And the city council here has even plotted that if India Walton wins, they might try to just get rid of the mayor's position. That's how corrupt it is. So we're here to cover that. We also interviewed Starbucks workers who are trying to form a union here in Buffalo. That's up. We did that yesterday. It's up, the live stream. You might have not seen it because YouTube is hiding this channel. That's another thing. Please, if you haven't seen our videos, if you haven't seen our lives, please join our text message list, statuscoup.com/text. That way, if you don't get a YouTube notification when we're live, you probably won't, you'll get a text message. We don't send you a text other than when we're live. Statuscoup.com/text. It's free. Just sign up, statuscoup.com/text. You'll get on our text list. Also, really appreciate these donations. If you could go beyond a donation, if you could become a monthly Status Coup member, right now we're running a promotion through Thanksgiving that if you sign up as a Status Coup member, you'll get a free piece of Status Coup merchandise, shirts, posters, other things. That's statuscoup.com/fall. So if you go to statuscoup.com/fall, it'll give you the directions. You could sign up as a member for $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. At each different level, you'll get a different piece of Status Coup swag. As kindly as I could say it, and as humbly as I could say it, as far as I know, we're the only ones out there, independent, covering these stories on the ground consistently. It's backbreaking work. It's a lot of hours in Iowa, between Iowa and Illinois, to cover the John Deere strikes. Colin and I must have driven 10 hours in 4 days, just going between cities. Flights getting canceled to get here, suitcases getting lost. A lot of hours covering rallies, press conferences. We're going to try and go out and cover an India Walton canvassing after this. So please support us if you can. That's statuscoup.com/fall. It's the only way we'll survive is membership, because YouTube is really making it difficult to even be seen. I want to play a clip from Nancy Pelosi, if you have the stomach. Oh my God, Pelosi. Here's what Pelosi said about this Build Back bullshit plan.
Already have gone down that path very nicely. In fact, Senator Manchin said some very good things when he voted for that bill, which had that in there. But how can I say that this is transformative? Because it is. Because it is. How can I say that? How can I say that this is transformative? Because it is.
Because it is. Because it is transformative. Yeah, it's transformative. The planet's on fire, unprecedented storms. You know what's transformative? We'll give you some tax incentives to put out the fire. Transformative, I tell you. Tax incentives to put out the fire. Fossil fuel subsidies. Literally, they're giving oil and gas fossil fuel subsidies to put out the fire. Are you kidding me? This person needs to be locked up with this stupidity and corruption. Transformative to take out paid family leave. So I don't know. I'm not a woman. I know giving birth is very, very, very difficult physically, mentally. How many women have vibrant paid leave in this country? How many people, if you get sick, injured, you got long paid leave in this country? If you have a mental health problem, you have long paid leave in this country? Free community college, which, by the way, I'm sorry, that was completely insufficient. Community college, great. That's only going to get you so far in this country. Okay? At the minimum, you need free public college for 4 years. Taken out. affordable housing, $150 billion, 1 million units of affordable housing. Yeah, that's not going to fix economic terrorism, i.e. gentrification, happening right here in Buffalo. I mean, the list just goes on and on. This is so corrupt. And by the way, thank you for the super chat. Bin 31, 99.99. Holy cow. I agree. It's now or never. AOC asked an Exxon CEO if he spoke with anyone during the bipartisan infrastructure negotiations. He said yes. So she knows corruption is there. You can't live in a framework house. They need to vote no if things are not put back in. Safe travels. Thank you so much. And that brings another point. What I keep saying, that the squad, Bernie, they refused to go to West Virginia and shame this corrupt motherfucker. They refused to go to Arizona and shame that corrupt Mrs. Fucker. Kirsten Sinema, who, by the way, Kirsten Sinema is so corrupt, it's cartoonish. She was literally doing fundraisers in Europe, I think Paris, during this whole thing. Are you kidding me? She's going to Paris to wine, cheese, and Bordeaux to raise money from God knows who during this. But literally, I don't remember where it came out, so I'm sorry if I don't give proper credit. There was a tape that came out with an ExxonMobil lobbyist saying, "Oh yeah, Joe Manchin, he's our guy. We talk to his office every week. He's the kingmaker." Literally an ExxonMobil, and by the way, CNN, MSNBC, Politico, Axios, all these fucking corporate stooges pretending to be journalists, because that's what they are. Corporate stooges pretending to be journalists. They call him moderate. They call this moderate. There's nothing moderate about being corrupt. There's nothing moderate about being the puppet and the servant of ExxonMobil. That's what Joe Manchin is. If you are an actual journalist, report the truth. Don't try to stand there as a neutral robot. Don't try and say, oh, well, you know, moderate Joe Manchin, and he has to be this way because it's West Virginia. I can tell you something. I've been to West Virginia 3 times, all of it reporting. West Virginia is a populist state. West Virginia is a state with a long, long Union history. West Virginia was, for a century, a Democratic state, a populist state. It started shifting to the Republican side over the last 10 years. You want to know why? Because of people like Joe Manchin. Because when people get a choice between like Republicans and like Republican light, I don't know, Colin, I hope my wife's not watching. I had a choice the other day, okay? We were eating poorly. We had Burger King or something on the road. And I had a choice between Coca-Cola, which is really bad for you, or the new Coke Zero, which is supposedly okay because it's like zero, whatever, sugar. You know what I fucking took? Coca-Cola, not Coke Zero. Bad analogy. I think you get the point. By the way, the Democratic Party of West Virginia, which we've been on the ground and we've covered it, they don't actually have policies. They don't offer a populist alternative to the Republican Party. So what do you expect? It's going to shift to the right. And that's not just West Virginia. That's everywhere. Keep smashing the like button, share this live stream, get it out to more people. So they keep claiming, well, it has to be this way. It's a state that Trump won by 40. Well, guess what? Bernie won West Virginia. He won every single county in West Virginia in 2016. Trump won West Virginia. You want to know why? Because he sold them a bill of bullshit. He sold them a bill of goods. Oh, I'm going to get rid of NAFTA. Oh, I'm going to repeal and replace NAFTA. Oh, we're going to get out of the wars. Those policies are very popular among populist people, among working class people. And he sprinkled on a little cultural conservatism because they are culturally conservative. But you want to know what? There's a lot of culturally conservative people that will vote for economic populist candidates. It's unbelievable. And I have been running on the elliptical. Thank you for pointing that out, Jen. It's reinvigorating me. You know, I could go down the list, what got cut from the bill. 2 free years of community, 2 free years of community college, cutting prescription drug prices. For those of you that are old school and have been paying attention to politics forever, the Democratic Party under Queen Pelosi, who needs to go away, they have been running on cutting prescription drug prices. They have been running on Medicare negotiating drug prices. What is it, 2021? For almost 20 years. That was one of their main messages when in 2005 and 2006, when they overtook the House under President George W. Bush, that war criminal, was cutting drug prices and negotiating lower drug prices. At a certain point, when do you realize you are being gaslit? When do you realize you are being lied to? When I'm talking to the progressives, when do you realize you are not negotiating with people who are operating in good faith? And by the way, let's put the progressives to the side for a second. Let's talk about Joe Biden. Let's talk about the propaganda from the corporate media that we were fed nonstop throughout the Democratic primary that, frankly, Bernie didn't really effectively challenge. That this was the pragmatic choice, Joe Biden. That this was the man that could get things done. That this was the man that could work across the aisle Republicans to get things done. That this was the man who knew how to navigate the Senate, this and that. This get things done guy, who, by the way, doesn't give a shit about any of these policies. He just gives a shit about making a deal so he could say it's transformative. He doesn't care about expanding Medicare. He literally said if the Congress voted for Medicare for all, he would veto it. He doesn't care about these policies. I think the only thing he cared about was free community college because his wife's an educator and she wanted it. I legitimately think that. This man has done nothing. Nothing. He hasn't exerted his bully pulpit as the president of the United States. He could have went out shaming Joe Manchin. He could have went out shaming Kirsten Sinema. As I said earlier, he could have went to Joe Manchin. Hey, Joe Manchin, you know, your daughter over there. You remember when she was the president of Mylan, the pharmaceutical company? You remember when she illegally hiked the prices of EpiPens? I think by like 600% or something crazy like that, so that people with diabetes who desperately need insulin couldn't afford it. God knows how many people died because of that. You know, I think I don't know if criminal charges were ever looked into for her, because you know I do know Attorney General Merrick Garland wouldn't look at that so favorably. I don't want anything to happen to your daughter. I want her to stay free. So you know we could do this the hard way or the easy way or the hard way. I don't know. Kirsten Sinema with her blue wigs or whatever fucking weird thing she's doing. You don't think Biden with the bully pulpit of the presidency could have shamed her? Could have publicly tarred and feathered her? And make no mistake about it, because I want to be very clear to you guys, because there will be some people that say, well, Jordan, if you do nothing, if you don't take this and we get nothing, we're going to get creamed in the midterms. When we say we, the Democrats, I don't consider I'm an independent. I registered as a Democrat to vote for Bernie, but I'm an independent. But I got news for you. You're going to lose to the Republicans regardless, because this is not going to excite the young people to come out for Joe Biden, because they came out in 2020, not for Uncle Joe, but to get rid of Trump. They're not coming out in 2020 for this garbage. No. A big increase in black voters came out for Joe Biden in Detroit, in Milwaukee, in Atlanta. That is why he won. That is why he beat Trump, because black voters came out in Atlanta and the suburbs of Atlanta, in Detroit, which Rashida Tlaib brought them out in Detroit, and in Milwaukee. And Hillary Clinton underperformed in all of those areas in 2016. You think black voters are going to come out in masses during the midterms for this? Latinos? For what? I said there's three good things in this entire thing. So you're telling me people risked their lives. Let's not forget this. People risked their lives during a pandemic to elect this sack of shit Joe Biden, this half-lucid sack of shit Joe Biden. Door knocking for this man. Literally going to the polls for this man. During the primaries, going to the polls for this man, because they said, let's get rid of Trump and then build back better. A lot of stuff about climate change and police reform and blah, blah, this, and the middle class. And Wall Street didn't build the middle class. Labor built the middle class. Unions built the middle class. Well, look at what we got here. A shell of a social spending bill where the hallmark is universal pre-K, which is funded, by the way, for 6 years. So it's not forever. It's funded for 6 years. I think that's a good thing. I don't want to minimize that. But that's your transformational bill? $150 billion in affordable housing, which is next to nothing for the housing crisis all over this country, because we live in a country that literally has real estate I'm not making this up. I've seen this on the ground. We literally have real estate developers on city councils in cities. We literally have real estate developers literally running eviction processes in cities like Louisville. We broke that in Louisville. Real estate developers in charge of the eviction process in cities during a pandemic. Okay? We literally have urban renewal in places like Buffalo and economic redevelopment, they call it, i.e. economic terrorism, i.e. mayors like Byron Brown, which India Walton is trying to defeat, selling the city to real estate developers. So what can they do? So that we're going to give them basically storefronts, land for next to nothing, so they could build beautiful high-rise luxury apartments, beautiful Whole Foods, beautiful shopping complexes where actual affordable housing used to be. And then we're going to drive the people that live there out. That's called economic terrorism, not gentrification. I call it economic terrorism. $150 billion investment's not going to fix any of that. And you want to know something? I got to tell you something. You do what you want. I'm not telling you whether to like Bernie, whether to like the squad, whether to vote for progressives, whether to not. That's your choice. I'm always going to tell you what I think honestly, whether it gets me clicks or not. I don't believe to hell with electoral politics. I think if there's a good candidate that has a good track record that you think is going to fight, you should support them. But what I do believe is Bernie Sanders said, get rid of Trump and we're going to fight Biden on day one. Well, it's way past day one, and this is not a fight. You have not fought Biden. The squad said, bring the ruckus to the Democratic Party, AOC specifically. Well, a ruckus would have been rallies in West Virginia calling this motherfucker corrupt. That would have been a ruckus, wouldn't you say? A ruckus would have been going on, the media would gladly have you on, saying, hey, why aren't you pointing out that Joe Manchin is literally conflicted? Major conflicts he has. He can't be the deciding vote on climate policy, on these other things. He literally is making millions of dollars running a coal company. Why is the media? Why are you, Anderson Cooper, you, Jake Tupperware, you, Wolf Blitzer, you, Rachel Maddow, you, Paul Krugman, you, the New York Times, why are you calling this corrupt, immoral cesspool moderate? And you know the sad part about all this? The sad part about all this, there's a whole lot of progressives that have been deflated, that are hopeless, that are angry, that are cynical, and I understand it, to tell you the truth. I get it. That if they would have just done the things I'm talking about right now, gone to West Virginia, call them corrupt. Frankly, if Biden wasn't going to do anything to challenge Biden that he's not doing enough, you would have had an army behind you. 440 people watching. Should be more, by the way. We have 121,000 subscribers, but I digress. You would have had an army of people behind you, online, showing up to those rallies, donating to you, phone bank, whatever the method was to shame Joe Manchin. But now what this is going to do, because I got news for you. Those Sunrise Movement kids, eventually you kind of get deflated. You're doing the rallies, you're doing the phone banking, you're doing the organizing. And what are you getting? Tax incentives for electric vehicles. Subsidies to fossil fuel. Literally, the climate proposal is giving subsidies to fossil fuel companies. You can't even make this up. I want to take a break so I could take a glass of water. We're going to get back to this in a few minutes. You might have not seen that we have been on the road for 2 weeks covering what's actually going on in the ground. Corruption, The workers revolt in this country. John Deere, Starbucks workers, India Walton's campaign. You probably saw none of this because YouTube's not showing you. So I'd like to show you a little bit of our reporting that we've done and then come back to this, take your questions, comments, concerns. Here's a mashup of what we have been doing for the last 10 days on the road.
Conditions and the living standards that we have, it's just simply unacceptable. Michelle's been working at Starbucks for 11 years. I've been working at Starbucks for 4 or 5 months, and our wages are separated by 30 cents, if that.
We are worth living wages, and we are worth like having safe working conditions.
And India, making sure that, we have safe housing, the children are safe in schools. There's no overdose drugs for no reason. And especially for refugee status, there's no unreasonable deportations for people that have been here for 10 years or 20 years and now you're gone out of nowhere and the family left. That's another family, separation. So one thing to keep the family together, and not to arrest a lot of children for, non-violence crimes.
This is our second place, and in a lot of cases, it's a lot of partners' first place. They're safer at their work than they may be in their home life, and the fact that there's no focus on our environment when we spend more time there than we probably do at our own houses on certain days, it really does show you whom they actually place first, and it is not their partners.
Buffalo is, like you said, the third poorest city of its size in the nation. So it's not as if all of us are chilling on our boats on the weekend. You're spending more on housing, spending more on food. We've not seen wages keep up with the rates of inflation. We've not seen good quality jobs being generated out of this administration.
But without baristas, there would be no Starbucks. Without people like us on the ground, we are what makes Starbucks what it is. And, Kevin Johnson just got a $20 million bonus over the pandemic. Well, we were the ones in the stores. Most of my coworkers got sick with COVID, if not all of them.
Most, minorities, so-called minority, they've been in that area. They've been in difficult side of the walking side of the system, that struggle with job.
We still deserve human rights and human decency, and I would say that enough pay to pay your rent and get a car to work if you need to and put groceries in your fridge is a human right.
The healthcare workers over at Mercy Hospital are fighting for basic decency. They have a CEO who's bringing home $1.5 million a year while they're, taking unsafe assignments with staffing ratios that are not conducive to the care that they want to give their patients, quality care.
I think all of us know how hard we work, and we know our real worth as human beings and as people that, come in day out and deal with all these different challenges that, this is something that we're not going to give up on.
We have 16 years of a failed administration that has failed to address childhood lead poisoning, that has failed to address poverty, that has failed to address redlining in neighborhoods of color, that has failed to address basic infrastructure like sidewalks and streets and striping in the streets and crosswalks. And the list goes on and on and on and on.
As someone who's personally moved to Buffalo within the past year, arguably at one of the worst points in recent history to be moving, which is during lockdown, especially with the eviction moratorium. Like, not a lot of people were actually leaving their house for any reason, so it was really hard to find affordable housing.
Since the Great Recession, we've seen, only no gains in wages. We've seen no increases in living standard. In fact, a massive redistribution of wealth from, working class people to the 1% to billion.
I call it theft.
The theft of wealth from, the working class.
We're done. So that's just some of our reporting for the last 3 days. And that doesn't even include our reporting on the ground in Iowa and Illinois, where we were covering the John Deere strikes. So all of this is up on this channel. You might have not seen any of it because, frankly, we've been doing this for 3 years. We've been basically hidden on YouTube for most of that time. It's never been as bad as it is now. So, again, if you are not getting notified when we are live, if you are not seeing our reporting, our videos in your feed, sign up, statuscoup.com/text, statuscoup.com/text. That way you will get a notification from us when we are live. I don't think it doesn't cost you anything. We will not text you anything else other than when we are going live. The other thing we need from you right now, and we've gotten a lot of great super chats and donations, please, if you can, donate to this trip. It's really expensive. Hotels, flights, rent a car, equipment, food. I was on Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball were nice enough to have me on their podcast earlier, which I think will be out in a few days. And we were talking about, and they said, like, yeah, if they tried to do what we're doing, they don't know if they could afford it. So please, please support us. StatusCoup.com/donate. Any amount really helps. But I want to get back to this because I think there's another thing going on here. You know, at a certain point, what you did, I'm talking about Bernie, what you did in terms of galvanizing an entire generation of progressives, right? What you did in terms of all these new groups, Justice Democrats, Sunrise Movement, Our Revolution, some of them I'm not so happy with these days. What you did in terms of galvanizing these people, phone banking, donations, volunteering, all this stuff. You have to tend to those groups. You can't take those groups for granted. Democrats, for example, have taken the working class for granted for 40 years, and the working class have been fleeing the Democrats and being hoodwinked by Republicans. But you have to galvanize your troops at a certain point. You can't just expect them to continually accept rump roast. So I'll credit Bernie and the squad when they do something good. But right now, if they are going to accept this pathetic shell of a deal, I'm going to bash them. I'm going to bash them. And I will say, if they cave on this, we're going to be here again in 2 years. We're going to be here again in 4 years. We're going to be here again in 6 years. We're going to be here again in 10 years, having the same discussion. Well, Jordan, it's better than nothing. You can't defeat a corrupt system. You can't even put a dent in a corrupt system by trying to negotiate with corrupt people. You have to tackle them head on. That is why I said to Ro Khanna, I don't really understand why you guys aren't going to West Virginia and shaming this man. I don't know why you're not going to Arizona and shaming this person. Frankly, I don't know why they weren't calling out Biden, who wasn't leading on this, who was not publicly calling out Manchin and Sinema to allow. And by the way, they're trying to make it seem like it's just Manchin and Sinema. There's a whole lot of these corrupt Democrats who were never for a billionaire's tax, who was never for raising corporate taxes to 28 or 30%, who were never for raising the top marginal rate to 39.6%. They just allowed Manchin and Sinema to be the punching bags, but they were against it too. Pelosi, it was reported, called the billionaire's tax stupid. Well, her billionaire donors probably agree. So Nas, 1999. Rashida Tlaib tweeted she won't vote for the bill. I saw her tweet yesterday saying she will not sell out her community, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Let's see. This is a legacy moment for Bernie, and it's a legacy moment for the squad. And by the way, the squad, they could vote no in the House. But if enough moderate Republicans come over, I'm talking about the bipartisan infrastructure deal. Because remember, these two things are attached. So technically, the squad could vote no on the bipartisan infrastructure deal, but Pelosi could get enough moderate Republicans to put the bipartisan infrastructure deal over the finish line. So really, this comes down to, what is Bernie Sanders going to do? Because he could blow this whole thing up in the Senate. Democrats can't lose one vote in the Senate. So it's a legacy moment. This man has fought for health care for his entire life, universal health care. Even this is not universal health care, but at the very least, it is shifting Medicare to at least cover all of it. All of it. Healthcare, vision, hearing, dental. You're going to vote for this without dental and vision and tell senior citizens, hey, good luck. If your teeth are rotting, good luck. If your teeth are falling out, good luck. If you can't see, glaucoma, good luck. We'll give you hearing aids, though. So don't worry about your teeth. Don't worry about if you can see. We'll allow you to hear in the wealthiest country on earth. Bernie, you're going to vote when they have taken out to lower prescription drug prices. And by the way, the argument progressives should be making, we can't vote for this because this is going to help Republicans win in 2022. We can't, with a good conscience, both on policy, but also on politics. We are handing the Senate to the Republicans with this. We are handing the House to the Republicans with this. We are handing the White House in 2024 to the Republicans. If instead of delivering on promises we make, of basically negotiating against ourselves and delivering rump roast to the masses, but we have complete control. So I, as a Democrat, talking as if I'm Bernie, I can't hand the White House and Congress to Republicans, which if we vote on this, that's what it's going to do. I want to read your questions, comments, concerns before we go, because we have to go cover another India Walton race. Cover a India Walton event. She's going to be speaking at a campaign office, and then there's going to be a canvas of volunteers going out to knock on doors. So we are here. We are covering this important election. A lot of, I interviewed India Walton. Some people didn't like that she said, well, I'm not a woke progressive, or I can't afford to live in 24/7 purity because I need to reach voters where they are. A lot of people didn't like that. But from what I have seen, India Walton's the real deal. And if she becomes mayor here, it could have a ripple effect. There has not been a socialist elected into an executive position in a very long time in this country. And if she could win, the mayor has a lot more power than a congressperson does. You're an executive. You have control. You have significant control over budgets, over police, over a lot of things. So this is an important race, not just for Buffalo, but the ripple effect it would have on the progressive movement and on candidates in general, and on boogeyman. I don't know if it's a word, but demystifying and boogeymanning the term socialism, and getting socialists elected and showing people and voters, no, the city didn't fall down. The city didn't go on fire with a socialist. It's running much better now with a socialist. Before I go, I also want to read, wow, welcome. We got new Status Coup members. So new members, Norman, Marcy, Christy. So 3 new Status Coup members, statuscoup.com/fall, statuscoup.com/fall. I also want to read donations from Frederick, Lydia, Tom, Michael, Peter, Trish. Thank you guys so much. Keep those donations coming. statuscoup.com/donate. We're going to be here through the election on Tuesday. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing our weekly exclusive on Rockfin, but we're going to have other clips that we could post on YouTube. So tomorrow we'll be live around 4 o'clock Eastern on our Rockfin Premium channel. You do have to be a Rockfin Premium member to watch that. But we'll be live on Saturday on YouTube, probably on Sunday on YouTube, Monday, the day before election, obviously election day. So a lot going on here. We could really use your support. statuscoup.com/donate. Also, please, if you can, listen, we need to fund actual on the ground reporting. It might not be sexy. It might not go viral all the time. It's not as clicky as this YouTube host fights this YouTube host. This is what's important. What's going on the ground, not just elections, but this Starbucks campaign with the workers trying to unionize. Starbucks, that would be massive if these workers could form the first union for Starbucks workers in the country. It would be massive, but we've been covering Amazon workers in Staten Island trying to form a union. That'll be a huge game changing. And by the way, I've been pointing out since all of this rot and just complete weakness among Bernie and progressives, I've been pointing out right now, you got to jump on these worker strikes that are exploding all over the country. You got to hop on and become active in these workers trying to form unions, workers quitting all over the country. Right now, looking at the electoral system, I'm not saying give up on it entirely, but we have something going on among workers in this country. Call it what you want, the progressive movement, the labor movement. Working people are fighting back. Strikes, union drives, quitting their jobs. And we're covering it. We covered John Deere last week on the ground. We've been covering Amazon workers trying to unionize. We've been covering We just interviewed the Starbucks workers trying to unionize. Hold on. What are you saying? Hold on. Make sure I have this. Oh, I missed some donations. Hold on. John, thank you for the donation. Frederick, Lydia, Tom, Colin, did I miss anything? Oh, super chats too.
It's on the private chat.
Okay, let me go to the private chat. Where am I? It would help if I was in StreamYard. Hold on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think you won't be.
No, I'm going in. Hold on, guys. I just want to give you guys shout outs. Appreciate the support a lot. God damn it. Hold on. Okay. Whoa. Private chat. Yeah, you're gonna have to email it. I'm not seeing it. Hold on, guys. I want to shout you out before we go. Technology. Oh, by the way, StatusCoup.pub. Jen, can you call me? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. StatusCoup.pub/DM. Oh, you emailed it to me? Okay. Let me give some shout outs here before we go, because we're going to go cover this canvassing. Must have changed, $9.99. Things like the mansion issue also raises the need for congressional term limits, in my opinion. They would at least remove the home field advantage incumbents get an election after election. I completely agree. Frankly, I think you should have 2 terms as a senator, congressperson, and that's it. Period. Hello.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, so I just created a Bitly. So StatusCoup .pub/DM, and that takes them to the thread to comment to join the DM group on Twitter.
Okay, so if you guys go to StatusCoup.pub/DM, StatusCoup, if you could put it on the screen, StatusCoup.pub/DM, that's going to bring you somewhere where you could join our Twitter direct message thread. And why that's so important? If you haven't noticed, we're having major problems with YouTube where they are hiding us. So people don't know when we're live. People don't know when we post a video. So we are we've created a Twitter DM group so that people will know when we go live on the ground, when we're home, when people will see when we have videos up. People will know when we publish a Substack piece. People will know when Status Coup is going live, shorter videos, Substack, breaking news. So go to StatusCoup.pub/DM. That way you could get in our Twitter DM group. No fighting in the DM group. This is for Status Coup, so you know when we're live, you know when we post shorter videos and other things. Thanks, Jen. Let me read the super chats. I agree. It is long past time for term limits. Brian Holmes, $4.99. Corruption is legal in the U.S., the corporate states of America. Correct. Kendall Inn, $5. $3 billion a year to Israel. Listen, my father's not going to like this. He's a major Zionist. We can't afford vision. We can't afford vision and dental for our seniors. We can't afford universal health care for all of us. We can't afford free public college, $80 billion a year. We can't afford actual affordable housing. We can't afford to save the planet with real money, but we can give $3 billion to Israel. By the way, not just Israel, the money we give to countries all over the world besides Israel. You're completely right. By the way, Israel's a fairly wealthy country. They could afford their own costs. Peter Iannone, again, the incredible $1,000 donation. In support of Status Coup, I ask that others will send what they can. Please support real news media Status Coup. Thank you so much, Peter. I'm going to reach out to you separately. Double K, $19.99. Thank you so much. Josh tipped $2. Thank you. Michael, $5 monthly donation scheduled. Thank you so much for scheduling the donation. I think you, by the way, you guys could schedule a donation monthly if you want to schedule a donation. Jen, if you could tell people how they could do that in the chat if they want to schedule a monthly donation. Donald, Donald Strong, $49.99. Thank you so much, Donald. I really appreciate it. Jayad Yang, $10. Sawi, thank you. Kendallin, $5. Bilk Back Better. I like Build Back Bullshit, but Bilk Back Better is pretty good too. Lydia donated $10. I haven't got much, but if anyone deserves it, it's you guys. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you so much. I mean, obviously we appreciate the bigger donations, but we very much appreciate donations from people that might not have that much. Don't donate if it's going to make your situation worse, but thank you. We really appreciate it. Bin31, $99.99. I agree. It's now or never. AOC asked an Exxon CEO if he spoke with anyone during the bipartisan infrastructure negotiations. He said yes. So she knows corruption is there. You can't live in a framework house. They need to vote no if things are not put back in. Safe travels. Completely accurate. And by the way, they need to vote no strategically because you're never actually going to get the things you want if they know at the last hour you will fold. Let me repeat. You will never get the real structural, bold changes you want if they don't take you seriously. And the way they take you seriously is if you stop folding like a cheap tent at the end. Let the media call you arsonists. Let the media call you obstructionists. Let them, because the media is going to be against you whether you fold or whether you fight. So how about you fight? Because you will galvanize the troops behind you if you fight. You will galvanize working class people who might say, oh, wait, yeah, this isn't good enough. Fight. Our hands built everything, $9.99. Thank you. Bobby, $2. Keep it up. Justin Anderson, 99 cents. Appreciate it. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Biggest problem with this is that the right will still get their bipartisan bill. View on YouTube the price of privatization 2001 to show how we're screwed. Could you email me that? I'd like to watch that. info@statuscoup.com. Email me that. Frederick Teller up. $10 donation. Thank you. Faint signals from Vega, 666. May strikes happen everywhere. All power to the people. Listen, if this is the bullshit we're going to get for progressives right now in the House or the Senate, if this is the bullshit we're getting from Bernie, accepting this and trying to spin it as transformation, then we're going to need work. We're going to need way more going on outside electoral politics. Strikes, union drives, workers quitting, mutual aid, which is happening among these strikes. We're going to need a lot more action outside of electoral politics if this is what we're getting from the progressive movement, the elected progressives. John Anyasar, $10. Thank you. Nas, $19.99. Rashida Tlaib tweeted she won't vote for the bill. I did see that yesterday in terms of her not selling out her district. Cautiously optimistic. And by the way, the reason I put in the headline progressives to cave ? Is they haven't officially caved. I'm not optimistic though, based on what Jayapal has said in interviews today, but they haven't officially caved. So we'll give them that. LeQ, $5. When are the troops going to help them by getting more help in Congress so we are not in the same place in the future? Yes and no. I agree we do need more electeds in the Congress. But at the end of the day, you would have to completely you would need to elect 30, 40, 50 progressives in the House, a lot more in the Senate to really change these numbers because you're never going to get support from Republicans. So it's not just a matter of electing more progressives. Right now, progressives have enough votes in the House and the Senate to block this. So right now we have the numbers. Let's not be naive. We have the numbers to block this. Now that's different than having enough numbers to be in the driver's seat, to literally be in the driver's seat to push legislation with a chance of it passing. But we have the numbers to block this right now. So even if you got 10 more progressives in there, we still have the numbers now to block this. I agree. Getting more progressives is important, but that's not the lack of more progressives isn't why this might pass. It's the lack of will of the current progressives in there to block it. If they fold, It's not an issue of not having more progressives. It's an issue of the current progressives not being willing to block it. Period. LeCube, $5. What it shows is policies can be passed. So what is the plan to get more help in Congress? We just talked about that. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. We have a senior here with glaucoma. Meds cost $200 a month, only covered at 40% after meeting yearly deductible. Everyone needs 3.5 trillion. And by the way, let me just repeat for people who might not know. 3.5 trillion was the moderate position. That was the compromise. Originally, it was talked about at 6 trillion. In January, this is another thing. I have no idea why. I asked Ro Khanna, why aren't you saying this in interviews? Joe Manchin in January said he'd be open to $4 trillion in infrastructure. $4 trillion. Where's that Joe Manchin? He was for $4 trillion in January. Now 1.75 trillion. Now no family paid leave. Now no free community college. Now $150 billion in affordable housing. Now $551 billion in a bold climate plan, which is really just tax incentives and fossil fuel subsidies and nothing with teeth to save the planet. Now hearing, but fuck you on your teeth and vision, seniors, but we'll give you hearing aids. I mean, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody here. 1 second. Oh, we got more. Okay. 1 second. Okay, so welcome. I read these, but I want to make sure I didn't miss any. Welcome new member Norman. Welcome new member Marcy. Welcome new member Christy. So that's 3 new. And Brian and Dan. So in the last 24 hours, Norman, Marcy, Christy, Brian, Dan, Michael, Craig, Darlene, Donna, Christine, Carl. Those are new Status Coup members, and membership is how we grow for the long haul. We really, really appreciate your donations to help fund this trip. But so we could do more on the ground reporting for the long haul, we need to build our membership. So that's statuscoup.com/fall, statuscoup.com/fall. If you become a member through Thanksgiving, we're doing a special promotion just for the fall. If you become a member through Thanksgiving, you will get a piece of Status Coup merchandise, shirts, posters. I think we have a sweatshirt. So go to statuscoup.com/fall. It will give you the directions on how to sign up as a member at the different levels, whichever level you choose, as well as how to get your free piece of Status Coup swag. By the way, $5 a month, 16 cents a day. $5 a month, 16 cents a day. As humbly as I could say, do you see other independent outlets out there on the ground giving the microphone back to working class people, back to people that are trying to fight, strike, at their go on strike, organize unions who have been poisoned in Flint, cover elections that the corporate media is not going to cover, and if they cover it, they're going to be doing propaganda for candidates like Byron Brown, the current mayor of Buffalo, who again lost to India Walton. That's the crazy thing. He lost to India Walton, yet he's running a write-in campaign, and the media is pushing him. So that's why we're here. We think this is an important race. We also wanted to cover the Starbucks union drive. I'm going to be interviewing another Starbucks worker tomorrow. This guy, wait till you watch this interview tomorrow. This guy, he's a little older, is an encyclopedia of the labor movement and has a lot of important things to say about why, don't give up on electoral politics per se, but labor is where it's at right now to get radical change. So I'm looking forward to that. That one will be on Rockfin at 4:00 Eastern. So our weekly premium show on Rockfin will be exclusive on Rockfin tomorrow, 4:00 Eastern. You got to be a Rockfin premium subscriber to Status Coup's Rockfin page. You know the drill. We're on Rockfin once a week because we get a guaranteed amount from Rockfin for going once a week. Totally understand if you can't join us as a Rockfin premium member. That's $9.99 a month. But we do cut up clips if you can't watch live on Rockfin, so you'll be able to see parts of that interview. Let me read a couple others. Gene 499, 3.5 trillion or hashtag kill the bill. Appreciate it. I agree. D Nice, $5. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've been doing, watching this channel for a while. Why, thank you. Kyle, $2. Thank you so much. Hey, you. Das Bush Fleiss, 499 euros. Thank you so much. I wish AOC would wake up and mobilize her Twitter army. Thank you for mentioning that. I completely forgot about that. AOC, Colin, I don't know if you could look. What does she have, like 13 million Twitter followers? If AOC put out the bat signal, we're going to West Virginia, we're going to Arizona. Oh my God. The power that she has, and I don't want to just single her out because there's a lot of other progressives in Congress. The power that just AOC has, the power that Bernie Sanders has. Bernie Sanders has created an army. Bernie Sanders, just his email list. If he sent out the bat signal, we're going to West Virginia, we're going to Arizona, we're protesting outside the White House against Manchin, against Sinema, to call for Biden to lead on this, you'd have a lot better situation right now. You might not get 3.5 trillion. You might get 3. You might get actual climate proposals that will help avoid all of our destruction and death, planet Earth. You might get free community college. You might get dental, vision, hearing. You might be able to lower prescription drug prices. You might be able to publicly tar and feather Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. Mitchell, $5 monthly donation he just scheduled. Thank you so much. Josh, $2 tip on Rockfin. Mary Manju, $5 tip on Rockfin. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. I also, if you missed it, I want to thank Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball. I recorded an interview with them earlier. They had me on their show, Crystal, Kyle, and friends. So I really appreciate them having me on. It's so important for, independent media to boost other independent media, particularly those with big followings. Greatly appreciate you guys giving a lift to Status Coup. We badly need it. So thank you so much for your help. Thank you. Am I missing any, Colin, or we got them all? Okay. I do have to go because we're already late, and I hope we'll be able to make it now. India Walton is having a campaign event, so I want to go cover that. I don't know if we'll be live, but again, you will know when we're live. You will be able to see our videos by signing up to our text list, statuscoup.com/text. Let me repeat, statuscoup.com/text. Sign up to our text list so you will get a text when we're live. Also, if you have signed up for our email list, please check your spam because we're going to a lot of people's spam. Please check your spam for Status Coup. If we're in your spam, get us out of your spam. That's another scam. These email lists where Jen has put in a lot into building our email list, and we're going to a lot of people's spam. So please support us on the text list. Also, as Jen said, statuscoup.pub/DM. I know we're giving you a lot. statuscoup.pub/DM. That way you can join our Twitter thread. It's a direct message group where we are just pumping in when we're live, when we post videos, so you guys could watch it, so you guys could share it. We got to get around this YouTube hiding us. I don't even call it suppression anymore. YouTube is fucking strangling us. We have 121,000 subscribers. This is the largest audience we've had in a long time. Literally, we went live earlier from an India Walton campaign event. We barely got over 80 viewers. I'm not making it up. We barely got over 80 viewers. I was literally interviewing John Deere workers from the picket line. We barely got over 250 live viewers. We have 121,000 subscribers. 250 live viewers. I interviewed India Walton, the Democratic nominee for mayor, 150 live viewers. So do people suddenly not like on the ground reporting? Do people suddenly not want to watch workers striking? Do people suddenly not want to hear from living, breathing, working people? Do people suddenly not interested in hearing from a socialist candidate? Or do people not fucking see it when we're broadcasting? Maturist 99, I never get your notifications. Perfect. So join our text list, statuscoup.com/text, statuscoup.com/text. You'll get a text message when we're live. Also, join our Twitter group, statuscoup.pub/DM. statuscoup.pub/DM. Woo! I've worn out my throat and I've broken a sweat during this live stream. By the way, I'm really digging this new logo you made. Really digging this new logo you made. The Status Coup logo right above me. All right, guys, we got to go cover this India Walton event. Again, tomorrow we'll be posting other clips on here from our reporting here. I'll be live 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on Rockfin. So that's rockfin.com/statuscoup. Is that what it is? Rockfin.com/statuscoup, 4 o'clock Eastern. If you can sign up as a Rockfin member, that's another great way. Because Rockfin A, we could go live without suppression, without censorship. We could cover whatever we want, say whatever we want. But Rockfin, our deal with them is we get a guaranteed amount for doing a weekly exclusive with them. And that's really helpful when you're trying to afford hotels, flights, rent a car. You guys don't even know the half of it. Just extending the rent a car in Iowa and Illinois for 2 days costs us $400 with car insurance and all that. So please, please support us. Thank you so much for the donations, our new members. Spread the coup. Spread the coup. Tell your friends to subscribe. Tell your friends to watch. Tell them what we're about. They don't have to be progressive. Frankly, we do have some conservative viewers who say, I don't agree with you on everything, but I like that you actually go out there and cover these things. So please, please, please support us. statuscoup.com/donate, statuscoup.com/fall. I want to see a lot more people signing up as members. Totally understand if you can't, but if you can, it's the only way we could grow. The only way we could survive is through membership. Thanks again. See you later.